just because then I'm like fully dialed in.
Oh, I can hear you.
Yeah, dude. See, look. Oh, fucker.
So I think this is one of the things that I need to let go. Like when I first came to Canada, someone made fun of my accent,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and that's one of the things where I'm like, oh damn, like I don't want to talk anymore. Oh, and this happened. So two things happened at once. So we did almost like a project, and we're videotaping ourselves, and I heard my voice for the first time. If you hear your voice for the first time, you're like, dude, I sound like that.
Oh, trust me, I know.
So
I listen to my voice. I know. I hate it. It's been years, and I'm kind of starting to just numb to it.
Yeah.
But that's why some people don't like the headphones, because they can hear themselves and they get self-conscious.
yeah,
But dude, there's fucking haters everywhere.
yeah.
Who gives a fuck that guy that made? And honestly, dude, yeah, fuck that guy.
So that's why I've been avoiding this for forever, because I was like, damn, like I just don't wanna. It's social anxiety, but I'm
Yeah.
better now. Like I could actually talk, but like yeah, for quite a while, that's something that I struggle with. Even ordering something at Starbucks,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
repeat that thing in my head over and over again, and then when I get there, I order something completely different because I cannot pronounce it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah. Bro, I'm gonna be honest. I have that same experience, and I'm a native English speaker.
Damn.
I have that exact same experience where
Yeah.
like I'll go, but specifically Starbucks, where I go in and I'm like, could I get the meat, and then I'm like, fuck,
They
you know, like
change it,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like I'm like that too. I have the same thing. But the other thing is, dude, is I think the smartest people in the world, if you lined up like the 100 smartest people in the world,
Yeah.
most of them would speak English with an accent.
Mm. Right.
So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Some sort of an accent.
See, I need to let go of the idea of how I sound like and be like, yeah, look. Like
Bro,
the
what
idea
do you
of
think- what do you
the idea of someone's like judging you. You know what I mean? So that's something that
What do you think the ratio of people is, or the percentage of people is, that live in Vancouver that are native English speakers?
yeah. I think we're taking over.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like, I'm just being real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's most people are not native English
Right.
speakers. Like, it's not their native tongue.
Mm.
And like I said too, like it instantly kind of makes you sound smarter, just because I think personally the smartest people in the world speak with an accent.
Yeah, right.
to
right.
us, like as a white kid growing up native English speaker,
Yeah.
everyone that has like a, don't get me wrong, I've heard dumb people with accents too,
Yeah.
but everyone that's really smart
Yeah.
has some sort of an accent
Mm.
to me,
Yeah.
comparative to a Canadian white kid.
Yeah.
Not a lot of smart people sound like, Canadian white kids.
Right. Yeah.
Most of the people are like either European or Asian, and you're like, that guy sounds smart as fuck.
Right.
He knows other languages.
Yeah, yeah, that's the best way to put it. Yeah. Like, but it's yeah. I think
But it's the same thing. Yeah, everyone has that one thing. Like, dude, that the equivalent for me is like, how many times I hold myself back from saying something?
yeah.
Because it's like, dude, you know how much of a dorky white kid you're gonna sound like if you say that?
Yeah.
Because to be real, like, especially in Richmond, like, and I'm not trying to like play the victim card or anything like that,
Yeah.
but like as a white kid, you kind of are a minority in Richmond.
Oh yeah. Even in Vancouver.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I gotta say, even in Vancouver.
But specifically in Richmond, like,
Yeah.
so like it's pretty easy to like to be the butt of the joke of like, yeah, of course the white kid would say that.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, white kid, why are you talking like, you know, like,
Yeah.
so like every I in my personal opinion, like every culture has a version of that. Where you're like, oh, I don't want to sound like the stereotypical Filipino, or I don't want
Yeah.
to sound like the stereotypical. Oh, like of course this guy wants to roast a pig in the backyard.
Right.
Like, it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's always like a, you know, a something. Even like I asked you earlier, I'm like, do all Filipinos wrestle, or is it just Canadian Filipinos?
No, yeah. It's I never heard about wrestling until I came to Canada. And I didn't even know about this sport until
When did you get here? When did you come here?
2008.
Okay.
2008, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. A long time ago.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was actually gonna say that seems pretty recent.
Yeah.
It's only like, so it's not even like 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been God, terrible at there's a mic.
Oh, dude, it doesn't even matter.
I'm getting used to this.
Yeah, it's fine, dude.
Yeah.
It's completely fine. But like, dude, even just like even just moving to another country. Like, it's funny because most of the people that live around here have moved from somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting thing to think about, being like I've lived in the same city my whole life. Like, I've moved, but like in the city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've never really experienced. I've traveled a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like, there's a certain level of wisdom and like just like kind of ego breaking that like traveling or moving does to you. You're like, oh, I've got to kind of assimilate into this area.
Yep.
You know?
That's the thing. Like, I mean, yeah, you gotta. It's a different culture for sure. So to me, it was a shock, cause like coming into the Philippines, like even if you don't have enough things there, it almost seems like every day is a new day. You're always happy.
Yeah.
Whereas here, your life is pretty much like a very, very straightforward, where it's just like you wake up, you're gonna do the same thing, work, or at that time it's like school, come back home.
And it's so regimented. Like, it's like
Yeah.
the same time every day. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, in a way, like that's probably one thing that I struggle with the most, where I was like, man, like I feel like a robot here, where everything is just like doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is one of those things. Like, it's kind of funny because so like if you like in Vancouver, for example, like say like my truck, like a timing belt snaps, or like I need to do like an oil change, or no, maybe like if my brakes fail and I need to get new brakes.
Yeah.
Like, worst case scenario, I have to drive like 25 minutes to go to Lordco, grab some parts, come back home, swap them out. You know, you know what I mean? Like, you could get it done.
Yeah.
Because it's like so efficient and everything's like so regimented.
Yeah.
I had an experience one time where I had my timing belt on my truck snap, and I was on the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
And I go to the store to buy one, and they're like, yeah, we don't carry them. And I'm like, oh, like, how do I get one? Like, I can't, literally my truck can't start, and I have to drive home tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I can order you one. It should come within the week.
Yeah.
And like, that's like, you know, like, it's like, that's Vancouver Island. That's like 45 minutes away, an hour away.
Yeah.
So it's like there's just like a difference in the environment of just like this, like in Vancouver, it seems like if I want it bad enough, if I have the money, if I have the availability, I can have whatever I want right now.
Yeah.
Right now. Like, no, I just have to put, it's how many buttons do I have to push? That's the question. It's not like, is this available? It's just how many buttons do I have to push until it's in my hands?
Yeah.
Whereas like most other places in the world, there's like, it's not, like I said, even Vancouver Island, an hour away, or the Sunshine Coast, an hour and a half, 2 hours away. It's like, oh, that immediacy, whatever the word is for like immediate, the tendency to be immediate.
Yeah.
Is it's gone. It's like, oh no, that's not a thing here. Like, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
We have island time. I remember I used to play rugby with like Fijians.
Yeah.
and they just like show up like 5 minutes before the game. They're like, "Oh, we're on island time. We don't give a fuck." You know, like
yeah.
it's not like I'm there like 45, 50 minutes doing some like squats and
Squats, yeah,
warming
yeah.
up, like trying to get my legs ready
Yeah.
for rugby, like doing like some push-ups to like get really warm. These guys just roll out of the van. They're like, "What's up, bro? Like, let's go."
See, that's a total boss move where you're like, man, we're gonna do it our way. It doesn't matter what you guys think.
Yeah, yeah. 9
It's
dudes
like-
roll up in a van. They're like, "Let's go, baby. It's time to play."
Yeah. So it kind of reminds me of back in the day when we used to wrestle way back in the day. Winnipeg. Winnipeg is like one of those
You
things.
lived in Winnipeg?
Yeah, I went to wrestle there.
What the fuck? Like you lived there or you just went to wrestle there?
I lived there for like 7 years.
What the fuck were you doing in Winnipeg, dude?
So it's funny you say that because like that's the first thing that I said before I went there.
Did you get there and you're like, "What the fuck, Mom, Dad, what the fuck are we doing here?"
I was just there to wrestle. But here's the thing.
What do you mean you're there to wrestle? So you moved to Canada?
I got recruited. No, I was here in Vancouver first, and then I got recruited there to wrestle.
Ah, okay. I thought you moved to Winnipeg when you moved to Canada.
So that's exactly my mindset when I first got recruited. I'm like, man, what am I doing in this shithole place?
Yeah.
But the
Sorry,
thing is,
people in Winnipeg.
I apologize, people in Winnipeg.
But you live in a shithole.
But
Sorry.
it's not so much as the place rather than the people there.
Oh, you guys are shit. Sorry.
No. I mean, not
I'm just joking.
yeah.
I'm just joking.
But like at the end of my wrestling career, I didn't want to leave that place
Mm-hmm.
because like the people there are so much more welcoming
Mm-hmm.
compared to people here in Vancouver. So yeah, it's a shithole place, the snow and all those things, but it grows on you.
Yeah, there's more camaraderie in places
Yep.
like that because you can die outside.
Yep.
You can't die outside here. You could sleep outside,
Yeah.
and like you might get cold,
Yeah.
but like assuming you're not like sticking drugs in your body,
Yeah.
you can live outside.
Mm-hmm.
In Winnipeg, if your car breaks down at the wrong time, you're
Yeah.
gonna die. Like -30
It's cold. Yeah.
You-
Although there's some homeless there, and you're like wondering how are these guys
seasonally. They're not the same ones every year. I'll tell you that.
Is that actually a thing?
I would assume.
Maybe. Yeah. But like, I saw some guys are like in the winter, they're like surviving so far. So I don't know.
How?
I have no idea.
I don't believe
man.
you, man.
You don't believe me.
I think like, dude, maybe like
Maybe they have shelter.
unless they have hotels
Yeah.
and shit that they give.
I'm guessing it's probably a shelter. They have
Yeah.
a shelter there where they can just stay there during the winter. But yeah, it's like you see them all the time.
Most of them come to Vancouver.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They jump on the train and they come to Vancouver specifically because the weather is so much better here.
Yeah.
And that's why I joked and said seasonally,
Yeah.
because like it's like birds. They hold on, cat. Hey, bitch is trying to knock shit over.
Yeah.
But yeah, like legitimately, when I used to go to the downtown east side and like volunteer down there, I'd ask people like, "Oh, where are you from? What are you doing? Like, what do you?" And they're
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, we came here so we didn't die outside."
It's kind of like I'm kind of interested. What is their story? Because I don't want to like judge these guys. Because I'm pretty sure they have, or although some of them are like just
Well, you know, it's if you want to be desensitized to people, it's
Yeah.
a good place to go because it's one of those things where you talk to people and every single story breaks your heart
yeah,
and you don't know whether or not you don't know how much you can believe.
Yeah.
Sometimes like you kind of become an asshole because you're kind of like it almost becomes like everyone's trying to work an angle. Everyone's telling you a story, and then 15 minutes later, hey, can I have $20, $30? Can I
Yeah.
have $40? Can I have... Oh, I don't have cash on me. Oh, okay, no worries. There's an ATM around the corner. Bro, I've had so many times where I'm like legitimately like, we like finish handing out food and then like I'm fucking... Specifically like one time I can remember where like a guy convinces me to like basically fucking drive around to like 3 different ATMs so I could give him my money.
damn,
And like you get like in positions like that enough times where people are just like low key draining you
yeah,
and it like really desensitizes you. You kind of But the thing is, everyone has a story that will
Yeah.
break your heart, bring you to tears.
Yeah.
And the fucked up part about it is you don't know how much of it is genuine,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
don't know how much of it is like
Made up.
yeah, made up, but also just like, like there's two sides to every story.
Yeah.
And so like, how like do you have little siblings?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or
you know
not,
how,
not little, but like older sibling.
yeah,
Yeah.
either older or younger.
Yeah.
Like if you have siblings, your siblings could tell you a story, and
Yeah.
then like you're like, oh, I can't believe that happened to you. Like that's so crazy. Why would someone treat you like that?
Yeah.
And then you've watched your siblings do shit, and you're like, you fucking asshole. You didn't.
Yeah.
You're lying completely. Like maybe that happened like 70% of what you said, but like you were an asshole. Like
Yeah.
you were the one being a dick.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? And so like you don't know how much of it is like that. And then there's the other side of it, which is like eventually, like, if someone keeps fucking up opportunities and they're
Yeah.
just like continuously doing drugs and choosing to spend their time and money and energy and around garbage people, putting
Yeah.
garbage in their body, like there comes a point where it's like you kind of do have to figure this out.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it is also there's people that are down there that have just been served injustice their whole life.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was a really fucked up experience for me. And like this you can't, like, there's no way to paint it with a broad brush. There's no way to like be like, oh, like this is how these people are. They're all like this.
Yeah.
Because like there was people I talked to that were like stone cold sober, that
Yeah.
were just like, yeah, like I lost my job, I lost my house, my wife left me,
Yeah.
like I like da, and they're like, oh yeah, I do crack now because I live out here. And you're like, and you're like, were you
Yeah.
doing crack before? Is that what ruined your marriage?
Yeah.
Or like, there's all these like weird things. And then there's other people that were like, yeah, like I was doing like coke and meth and fentanyl, and I lost my job, and they just, the party kept going until it stopped.
Yeah.
So like there's always like different like things. Some people get injured and they can't work.
Yeah.
Some people are military veterans that aren't taken care of properly. Like it's a fucking war zone, dude. It is an absolute, it is the saddest part of the country, I think,
Yeah.
is the downtown east side. It's an absolute hellhole.
Yeah.
It's like literally worse than most. Like, dude, like these people are like, they have, like, you're talking about like being in the Philippines and like how like things just like kind of like
Yeah.
laid back and you don't have access to everything. Like these people live worse than like
Yeah.
people in like the slums of the Philippines.
Mm.
I would assume. Like they literally like, there's like human shit on the sidewalks. Like they're pissing all over themselves. It's
Yeah.
so violent down there. It's insane. Like we were handing out food and clothes and I had a piece pulled on me.
Holy smokes. Yeah.
Like, and we're like, dude, it's free. Just
Yeah.
fucking take it. You don't need to rob us. We're giving you things.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, man? Like, it is an absolute war zone.
Yeah.
And that's part
I
of the
think-
reason I stopped, is because
Yeah.
it's like, yo, I can't bring people down here.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, like, when people are not ready to get help, no matter what.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know what it is. Like, I don't know. It's, I've heard so many stories. I've had people on this podcast that have, like, lived down there.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Oh, really?
people.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
multiple people. Some of them clean themselves up.
Yeah.
Some of them are still struggling. Some of them, like,
You know what? Like, I think it goes back to this. Like, you know how like everything's like, and I'm starting to believe this. You know how like everything that we do is associated to how it makes us feel.
yeah.
Like, why do these guys go back there or do drugs over and over again, knowing that it's bad for them? Because I think it's the emotional thing that it gives them.
Hmm.
So whether that's like, let's say like you smoke a marijuana, like what's the emotional feeling that attached to that? It's just the feeling of just being relaxed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's
So-
different. There's different things, but I don't know if you have you heard of Gabor Mate.
Yeah. I've heard his. I listened to some of his
He's been on Joe
YouTube.
Rogan a
Yeah,
couple
yeah,
times.
YouTube. Yeah,
So he's a doctor. He's I think Hungarian or whatever, a Jewish guy.
he's in
And
Canada though, right?
yeah. His parents, I think his parents were taken during the Second World War, and
Yeah.
he was like taken care of or adopted by like an aunt, I believe it was. And so he works on the downtown east side now. He lives in Vancouver here,
Mm.
and has a home in Vancouver. And but the reason I was talking about his childhood is he associates a lot of the there's different for different drugs. He talks about different tendencies,
Yeah.
but he talks a lot about like just most addictions in general have to do with comfort and
Mm.
love.
Yeah.
Like a feeling of, when you feel love, it's tough to describe it, but
Yeah.
there's this feeling of ecstasy that like nothing else matters.
Mm.
And like, the world could be falling apart, but when your mom hugs you or your dad hugs you and they tell you, you can fuck up as many times as you need.
Yeah.
I love you. I'm not always going to be happy with you,
Yeah.
but I love you and I want the best for you. I care about you. There's a feeling there
Yeah.
that is just so comforting. Like, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not, and for some people, they don't have that feeling.
Yeah.
And because they never felt it as a kid, again, not a doctor,
Yeah.
but because they never felt it as a kid, they yearn for it and they look for it and they seek it in any way they can feel it, because as human beings, that's the only thing we need to know to be okay.
Yeah.
Is that you're not going to starve today and you're not alone. That's pretty much it. If you know those two things, you're okay.
Yeah.
Somebody loves you, you're not alone, and you're not going to starve today. You're like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
But if you don't have those feelings, you're going to want to feel that still.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so, like, for some people, like, if you talk to, like, or if you listen to interviews, or if you, talk to somebody about, like, heroin,
Yeah.
or, like, fentanyl or anything like that, and you ask them, like, can you describe the feeling? A lot of them, it's really weird and creepy, will associate the feeling. They'll explain it to you. They'll say it's like a warm hug. That's one of the most common ways I've ever heard it explained.
Yeah.
Is they say it's like a warm hug. It's like a warm hug. That's what the repeated phrase is. And it's like unanimous across like anybody that's addicted to painkillers. That's the way they explain it.
Yeah.
It's like a warm hug. And you're like, oh, you're looking for love. Like you need,
Huh.
like connection.
Yeah.
And like sometimes that warm hug suffocates you. And that's what heroin is, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's interesting because some people, they can just cut it off, like go cold turkey right away. Like, what's the association between that? It's like, how like people was struggling, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, I'm out of this."
yeah. Well, there's certain drugs that like alcohol and like those alcohol downers, like
Yeah.
any like painkillers. I can't remember exactly the chemical mechanism, but those and benzodiazepines like Xanax,
Yeah.
those types of things, you actually can just like full on die from cold turkey quitting.
Mm.
Like so the benzodiazepines, I think the reason why is because they slow your heart rate down,
Yeah.
and so your heart adjusts to that.
Huh.
And then if you like say you're taking like 100, I don't know the measurements because I've never really done them that much, but we'll throw out random numbers. Say like you take 10 milligrams,
Yeah.
and then that slows your heart rate down, but then your heart rate slowly adjusts,
Yeah.
and then you up your dosage, and then your heart rate adjusts, and then you up your dosage, and then your heart rate adjusts, and then you stop cold turkey, your heart shoots up, you have a
Yeah.
heart attack, you die.
Damn.
With alcohol, it's slightly different. There's something else that goes on chemically,
Yeah.
but you can actually because you can get like full on hallucinations
Yeah.
if you're like a heavy alcohol addict
Yeah.
and you just stop. You can get like full on hallucinations. They'll get shakes. They call delirium tremors. The DTs. They get like shakes.
Yeah.
And because like your motor skills just get fucked. And I think that if you stop cold turkey as a heavy alcoholic,
Yeah.
your liver will just shut down.
Hmm.
I think like either your liver or your kidneys. I don't know. Whatever one's the filter for liquids. But
Yeah.
yeah, those are the things I've heard. But the other ones, I think, like weed or cocaine or any like other drugs like that, I believe you can just stop cold turkey.
Yeah.
And I think that the reason that a lot of people, like, you hear that story
Yeah.
is the same as like anything else. Like imagine like someone who's like extremely overweight. Like they're never really like, oh, this is a problem. Like they might verbally say, oh, it's
Yeah.
a problem. But like for the most part, like you talk to somebody who's like overweight and they're like, yeah, it's kind of an issue, but like fuck it. It's
Yeah.
not until they go to the doctor and they're like,
Yeah.
you're going to die in 3 months, that they're like, okay, fuck, I need to make a big like it
Yeah.
has to be painful enough
Oh yeah.
that you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Imagine like someone that smokes cigarettes. They're like, oh, I smoke cigarettes, so whatever. Yeah, it'll kill me one day, whatever. And then they get the cancer diagnosis, and they're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah. 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 I think pain. Yeah, that's what it is.
Get that closer.
I think that's what it is. You gotta be in so much pain in order for you to realize that, oh crap, like, or something very catastrophic where, okay, like I needed some changes here. I wasn't aware that I've been doing like same kind of habits that would lead me to this point where, crap, this is where I'm at now. Like,
Yeah. Well, like I think like it's not even like, because I know like from my experience, there's so many times where like I know I'm doing something wrong or
Yeah.
I'm not doing something I should be doing,
yeah,
and I'm like, oh, but I can compensate for it.
yeah,
Oh, I can drink because I work out, because I eat clean, because I do this. Like I feel like there's ways that like I can justify it. It's not until like something bad happens where I'm like, oh,
yeah,
like this isn't something I can get away with like a little kid anymore. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
hiding, I can't hide this behind my back from my mom. Like
Yeah.
this is between me and God, and he
Yeah.
knows I'm fucking around.
So one of the things that I heard from, I don't know if you know Sebastian's dad, Chris.
Yeah.
So I was watching his, well, he said this, and he was like, well, here's the thing, like, if you let yourself do that, it's gonna make it so much easier for you to do it again.
Yeah.
So things like that where...
It's like jerking off, dude. That's
Yeah.
like the more I jerk off, the more I jerk off.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think habits, we're creature of habits where you do a certain type of thing and all of a sudden becomes automatic
Hmm.
until you get to the point where you're like, oh crap, my health is deteriorating. Like I'm
Yeah.
getting hurt here. Like,
Yeah, or
Yeah.
my focus, or my
Yeah.
attention span, or the
Yeah.
way I treat my friends, or the
Yeah.
way, you know, like little things like, yeah, usually I can tell something's off with me by my temper. That's usually the best way I
yeah.
can tell. Is like, oh, I'm treating the fucking cats like garbage. Like I'm getting like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm getting pissed off with my cats or my,
Yeah.
or like my parents or my grandma, you know, like, it's like, you
Yeah.
know how grandma is.
Yeah.
So why are you getting annoyed? You know, like, it's like,
yeah.
it's like, oh, it's because I'm actually just tired or
See-
hungry or like, you know?
I'm kind of like in the same boat, and I gotta be super careful with my energy, because I feel like I have that pull where, depending on how I'm feeling, I can project that to someone.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm working with a bunch of kids, so like sometimes, like, if I don't check myself out, if I don't catch it, it's not gonna be fun for them.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'll be like super like almost like a military style. Hey, let's do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like having that, you know, at like collaborative, like, you know, like, yeah, let's have some fun, but like when we need to push, but also like, you know, make it fun.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like most of the time, when I'm agitated, yeah, they're not gonna have.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So-
I feel the same way. If I'm angry, like whether I'm conscious of it or not, I'll make you angry.
Yeah.
If I'm happy and I walk into a room and people are sad, like usually my happiness is so much that they're either like, I need to leave because you're
Yeah.
too happy and I'm not feeling good, or they just get contagiously happy.
Yep.
Like I'm like that as well. Whatever I feel, I'm spreading.
Yep. Yeah.
I got pissed really quick. 1 sec.
Yep. Yes, sir. Is Sunday your like me day, kind of like
It's rest day. It's the Lord's
rest day, but it's also a maker day? I call it a maker day.
Yeah, yeah.
Where I'm just go there and just kind of like go with the flow and just try to like, like my work, like when I'm inspired, you can see it in my work, right? But when I'm doing things and I'm not very inspired, or
Mhm.
like when I'm coming from emotion, from a negative emotion, it reflect a lot of my work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's dude, because I think anytime you get passionate or excited or enthusiastic about something, in my eyes, it's your purpose to do that thing.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the and this is one of the cool things. This is why I think that people to bring it back to the very beginning.
Yeah.
This is why I think that people that are not native English speakers by default can grasp concepts differently. Because I think that English, modern Canadian English and American English, the way that we speak,
Yeah.
is so detached from the original meaning of words that the more I learn about the language, the more I understand how much we don't understand because of our language. And a weird example of that is if you look into certain like etymologies of words, like the root word, like of like all of our words in English
Yeah.
come from like either basically French, German, Latin, or Greek.
Yeah.
And the word enthusiastic, I'm not like I can't remember exactly, but essentially the word enthusiastic, if you break the word down, enthusiasm, like the two parts of the word, essentially, I could be wrong about this, but I heard it in a book, is essentially like the meaning of enthusiastic is to be possessed by God, to be inspired by God. I can't remember exactly. It's like a Greek, or I think it's a Greek derivative, and we could look it up. But for argument's sake, let's just pretend I'm right.
Yeah.
Like to understand enthusiasm as like God is pouring this energy into you to do this thing is such a different level of understanding of like, oh, this thing interests me and excites me.
Right.
You know what I mean? To understand, oh, I'm feeling this thing because this is my purpose in this world and what I'm meant to do,
Yeah.
is a very different understanding than I'm doing this because it makes me feel good. You know, and
Yeah.
in English, we're so disconnected,
Yeah.
like from God especially, but also just from like understanding the universe, like genuinely like understanding the concept. Like there's other words like the famous example everyone uses in like German. There's a word, I think it's like Schadenfreude or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like the word that the good feeling that humans get when something bad happens to someone you don't like. You know, like you see them like stub their toe and you're like, that motherfucker. Good. Like we don't have a word for that in English.
Right.
So you're just taught like, oh, you're a shitty person if you feel that,
Yeah.
you know? But there's no word to describe that feeling. There's no like concept for it for us. Like we just have this weird gut feeling and we don't know what it is. There's no way to explain it. There's no way for me, but like when I can put it into like,
Excuse
no,
me.
you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. But like, you know, when I like, it takes like a few sentences, but I can explain it and you're like, oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I've felt that before. But imagine if there was just a word you could say and you're like, oh, that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like English
Feeling,
is so
yeah.
limited that way.
Yeah, right. You're talking about that, and all I'm thinking right now is, sorry, like I'm going off tangent right now.
No, you're good.
So for me, like I have a hard time kind of expressing my ideas or words, right? When I'm thinking about it. And you talk about gut feeling there, but like when I'm not thinking and I'm going through that gut feeling, like my words can flow. It's like one of those things where, wait, like even when I'm writing, I'm like, wait a minute, I can write that?
Yeah.
But like when I'm trying to talk, I'm like, how do I? It's so hard for me to like get the words out.
Yeah, I mean that in my eyes, like again, there's different concepts and different like religious. I've been like super into like reading the Bible and trying to
Yeah.
understand it recently, and like that's like with the Tower of Babel, like when we were scattered across and like the languages were all changed, and like I think that that's part of the human condition in my eyes is like we're all kind of like trying to express what's happening in here and in here and in here,
Right.
but like there's no way because we've all been divided, like there's no way. And I think that in my eyes, like that's the root of human conflict,
Right.
is because like it's like there's a disconnect of like I'm like for some reason we all have this feeling that the way we feel is unique,
Right.
and that like you not only don't feel what I feel but couldn't understand it because my problem is so unique to me. Even like say someone grows up, they don't have a mom,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, I don't have a mom," and they meet everyone they meet. They're like, "Oh, but you don't understand because I don't have a mom, so my life is different." And then they meet someone that also doesn't have a mom,
Yeah.
but they're like, "Oh, but your dad was around more.
Right.
Oh, but you had your grandma.
Right.
Oh, but you had this person at work that cared about you. You had this teacher." And so like everyone has this feeling, if you continue to layer it back,
Yeah.
of like, yeah, but you don't get me and you can't get me. Even though every problem we deal with, essentially, if you break it down, is the same.
Same
Yes.
thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all living the same experience. We
Yeah.
all suffer heartbreak. We all suffer physical injury. We all suffer like health crisis. We all suffer like loss.
Yeah.
And like the more we buy into the illusion that like your pain is different than my pain,
Yeah.
then that's when it's like, no, I deserve more help.
Yeah.
And if you're getting more help, then there's something wrong that you're doing
Yeah.
that I need to stop. You know, like that's kind of like the way we all operate.
Huh. Yeah. You're so right about that. Oh.
There you
I gotta-
go.
I gotta check my time.
That's
We
okay.
got-
I
we
just
got-
I
yeah.
just got a reminder as well. You want to wrap up?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming
No,
through.
all good. So you know what? Like I was about to say there, where we're talking earlier without camera on mic. It's so different. But as soon as the camera was in here, like I get so like
Tense.
tense.
Yeah.
And now like we're talking. So again,
It takes warm up time, dude.
I'm gonna like get better at this when I get back. Yeah.
Dude,
It's
we
like-
can do this all the time if
Yeah.
you want.
So I feel like you notice that too. Like my energy just kind of like. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it so many. I still feel like that. It takes
Yeah.
me a while. It takes me a couple minutes to get into it. Usually, that's I've had like I call these like kind of shotgun interviews when it's only like 30, 40 minutes because
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to break through that barrier.
Yeah.
2 hours is like 3 hours I've done before, and
Yeah.
3 hours is a little draining.
Yeah.
But like about usually around about an hour in is when people start to loosen up.
Right.
And we're at
Interesting, yeah.
44 minutes right now.
Yeah.
So it usually does take, it's like everybody naturally.
Yeah.
There's the what do they call it? The law of observance.
Right.
And when you know you're being watched,
Oh yeah.
you behave and think
And-
differently.
Yeah, in a certain way.
Yeah. Even if I have these recording and then I delete them right away.
Yeah.
Even if you know no one actually will see it,
Yeah.
there's a part of your brain that activates when you're being watched doing something, or you feel like you're being watched, that you think differently, you behave differently. It's just natural. It's
So how do you deal with that?
exposure.
Ah.
It's the same as anything else.
Yeah.
And
We
also
talk, it's funny we talk about that. We talk about that
Yeah,
early
yeah.
on, where it's just like same thing with rehab.
yeah, as above, so below. The solution to anything is the solution to everything.
Man, that's kind of trippy.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's literally like that. That's how life is. It's fucked.
yeah,
But the other thing is, other people are just sociopaths. Some people are just like genuine. They don't have that same chemistry.
right.
They don't care. Some people are, that is their personality.
Yeah.
Some people like the way that we have like the law of observance. Like when someone, like you're in public, for example, like if I'm playing Pokemon Go, I'm walking down the street,
Yeah.
I'm going to be playing it no problem. But if someone starts walking towards me, it's like I'm going to pretend I'm
Yeah.
not playing.
Mm,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? But some people are just always on. They're
Yeah.
just always performing.
Yeah.
And then other people just like they don't feel the need to perform at all. They're like
Yeah.
completely disconnected.
Yeah.
Some would call that autistic. They just like
Right.
completely miss the social cue of like, oh, I need to behave differently when I'm in front
Yeah.
of people.
Do you think that also, like, sorry, we're like going a little bit over time here, but do you think also just kind of like, because a good example of this, I'm gonna, like, one athlete that I got, he knows himself so well enough that he doesn't give a fuck what other people think.
I
Like,
think he does.
you think so? You
Yeah,
think so?
everyone does.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think anyone's immune to that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think anyone.
So
dude.
yeah, I'm looking at this through my lens, and that's what I thought about when we're talking about this, because I'm like, man, this guy is like, oh yeah, but probably deep down he probably cares, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
100%. Again, it either comes down to they're not aware of the feeling or they
Yeah.
can't express the feeling.
mm,
That's usually what it is. But
Yeah.
everyone, it is like, excuse me, it's extremely rare, and
Yeah.
the off case of people that like genuinely do not care how other people think of them or perceive them
mm,
are like that's a mental illness in my eyes. Like
Mm.
you're socially disconnected.
right,
Like it's very useful for people to have that. The idea of like conformity and like, oh, I
Yeah.
actually genuinely care what these people like. That's the reason people don't play loud music on the bus or like scream
Right.
and like it's there's a
Yeah.
genuine use for it. It's like
yeah.
you probably should care or like what people think about you.
Yeah, Mark, I gotta say that's a double-edged sword, I think.
Oh, I agree.
In,
Yeah.
in a
Yeah,
way, because
of
like
course.
sometimes when you care too much about what other people think,
You're a phony. You're
that
fake. Yeah.
that and also kind of like limit your ability to do something. It put like an idea in your head that you're
Mhm.
not this, you're not something that you're actually it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're valuing the wrong thing.
Ah.
That's what it is. Because like if you were to think, oh, like I don't want people to see me fail.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. You're like,
Right,
oh, I'm
yeah.
never gonna try jujitsu because I don't want people to know I'm bad at it.
Yeah.
I don't want people to know that I suck at this thing.
All right.
So I'm just not gonna do it.
Mm.
That's where it hurts you.
All right.
But if you're thinking about like, oh, I don't want people to know that I quit easy,
Yeah.
and your intention is like, I want people to think that I'm a hard worker.
Yeah.
There's no way to fake it.
Right.
You have to be a hard worker.
Yeah.
You can't quit easy.
Yeah.
And so like the more you expose, so it's just about what you're actually focusing on.
Mm.
Are you like, oh, I don't want people to know that I can fail? Well, then you're going to be a phony.
Yeah.
You're going to be fake all the time, and you're never going to put yourself in a position to fail, so you're never going to learn.
Mm. Right.
But that's just ego. But if you're thinking in your head, oh, I don't want people to see me quit.
Yeah.
I don't want people to think I'm a quitter. I don't want my kids, I don't want my parents, I don't
Yeah.
want my partner to see that I'm a quitter. Then it's useful to care about what people
Yeah.
think, you know? Because then it's going to influence you positively.
See, I feel like that's how, and this is how I coach these kids sometimes. And again, we talked about this earlier, where I'm like, sometimes I gotta let them feel that it's okay to look silly.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people think, because at the end of the day, the sooner, like when you're learning a new skill, the sooner you're gonna allow yourself to look silly, you're gonna
Yeah.
explore a lot more movements, right? You're gonna learn so much faster. But like when you care so much about what other people think, it's almost like you're boxed in. So
Mhm.
there's some athletes where I'm like, well, yeah, I'm gonna let you fail, because that's part of like learning. You gotta allow yourself to look silly when you're trying to learn something for the first time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna like your learning curves are gonna be so much longer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's the other thing about like wrestling or any sport like that, like in specific, where like you're taught something of like, okay, you have to block this hip this way.
Yeah.
You have to do this way.
Yeah.
This is the way it's been done for hundreds of years. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like this is the way to do it. And then like maybe someone's taller, maybe someone's shorter, maybe
Yeah.
someone's fatter, maybe someone's skinnier, and like their body type, it just doesn't work that way. Like the best coaches I've ever had are like, this is the way I've found success doing it. It could not work for your body.
Yeah.
So like take this concept and just understand it, try it. This is what works best for me.
Yeah.
I've tapped a bunch of guys doing this, or I've escaped a bunch of times doing this. But like maybe this coach does it differently. Maybe
Yeah.
this guy, try it in his class, but today
Yeah.
I want you to try it my way and see if it works for you.
Yeah.
You know, at the very least, you'll know how to defend me when I'm doing it to you.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like one of those things where, and that's the thing I struggle with. Like I've been doing it for maybe like 3.5, 4
Yeah.
years now, and I'm just getting to the point because my ego is so big
Yeah.
that I
So-
can start to explore.
So this is a game changer for me, because again, like I have a pretty big ego. So one of the things that helped me so much is I look at it through this lens where I have this avatar.
Hmm.
And so when someone kind of tells me something, I pick like which is like, let's say like you're kind of dressing this avatar, and I'm like, hey, he taught me this, and I thought like, okay, that system there is like perfect for my avatar. I'm gonna put that on my avatar.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily need to like pick a lot of the things, but like I pick what works and just put it in my own avatar.
Yeah.
And now
yeah.
like I have this like thing where it's just, oh yeah, I got all that collection of so many different things that I could blend in together. Because at the end of the day, like, man, you cannot. It's very, very chaotic, most especially in sport.
Yeah, yeah. Well, dude, it's the exact same. Like, I'm a carpenter, right?
Yeah.
And I work. I do home renovations, and like, dude, like when you first start, you have like a hammer, a drill. You have like a couple different things, and so like those are your only tools to solve any problem.
Yeah.
You know, and like as cliche as it sounds, like it's now that I've been doing construction for like a couple years now, few years now, you slowly collect more and more different like little tools where you're like, oh, that might come in handy. Or
Yeah.
sometimes you come across a problem, like you can't get in a certain area and you have to buy a specific wrench,
Wrench, yeah.
and you just have that one wrench, like for sinks designated. You're like, oh, that's my sink wrench
Yeah.
for when I can't reach back behind the sink.
Right.
And then that just stays in your plumbing bag.
Yeah.
And then it just stays there. And you use it like
Yeah.
maybe once a year, twice a year.
Yeah.
But like you're like, when you come across the thing, I can't reach the thing. You're like, oh yeah, I've done this before. There's
Yeah.
been so many times where I couldn't reach that thing. And I just, oh yeah, just go grab that tool. Like that's like the best analogy I can come up with for
Yeah.
like jujitsu or wrestling or anything like
Sports,
that.
yeah.
Like it's like you're just continuously adding like weapons
Yeah.
to your cache.
So, but even then, like, there's no movement that are similar. You know how, like, I forget the name of the study where they studied this guy throwing an anvil. Why is it that those guys they strike?
Throwing an anvil?
No, blacksmith.
Oh yeah, like
So,
the hammer. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so precise. So why are skilled blacksmiths so precise? So one guy did some study and he put this. I think it was reflective lights, just to see the pattern, right? So
trace the.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the pattern is so different every single time. It goes that way, but like it strikes to the same kind of spot.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So that's the same thing with sports in general or wrestling. Wrestling in general, like some of the best athletes, they have one or two good moves that they're so good at.
Mm.
But how they get there, it's different all the time.
Right.
It's different all the time.
Because they just see it.
Yeah. No,
Like
it's-
they just see the I'm thinking about Matt in specific.
Yeah.
And how like every time I've rolled with him, he's hunting Kimuras. Like
Yep.
he's just getting Kimuras. And like it's like you can see the arm in a certain angle
Yep.
and you know how to get it there. Like
Yep.
you just know how to control it. You know the pivot points of
Yep.
where like where you'll have the most leverage. It's
Yep.
like you just see the opportunity for it.
The end goal is the same thing. How you get there
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's different all the time.
Yeah.
So I gotta check my time here.
All right,
I gotta
bro.
get going.
We'll wrap this up. Dude, see,
Man.
you're a natural.
No, like I have to like open up
You're a natural.
right at the end. Where
Yeah.
I'm like,
I told you, it's around the first hour. The first hour is the training
As soon
wheels.
as you said that, and I'm like, I'm gonna let my guard down right now.
Yeah.
Oh my.
All right, much love. Peace out. Love you all. Bye.